Hello, hello, hello. Welcome again to Conspiracy Corner Podcast, everyone. This is Abe, your host. You'll have to excuse some of the background noise. I haven't done this in a minute of doing a podcast in my car. If you guys know, throughout the years, especially the past, about 4 years, I've been podcasting outside of my car. It usually happens on days that I get up super early. And I end up just not being able to sleep. I go to work a little early, run errands, and then I have a little bit of time to podcast from my car. So that's what I'm doing right now. I brought a newspaper and a book that there was some interesting articles that I found interesting that I wanted to cover. I just finished eating McDonald's. I went and picked up the photos. Apparently there's some new fucking show coming out now called K-pop Stars Demon Hunter. I don't know. You guys know me, I collect cards and shit. This is the Saija Boys pack. Breakfast meal. So this only comes with the breakfast meal. I'm gonna do a little card opening. But yeah, you guys know me. I love collecting trading cards. So I was like, I have one pack already. I opened. It wasn't the Saija Boys one. It was like, I guess, movie photo cards. I don't know if this one's any different. There's like, I think 12 cards in general. I don't want to damage the card. To collect, I try to save the container as much as I can. But yeah, I know nothing about this show. The cards look kind of gay. I already have this one. This one's a holographic little cat guy. I don't know what he is. But there's a QR code. If you want to scan it, well, I don't know. It's not picking it up. Let me see. Yep. Sorry. We got a luck. And then some K-pop boys. Yeah. Figured I'd do a little card opening just because I got a pack. I'll add that to my collection. I got one new card, so that's cool. It's only 2 packs, or 2 cards per pack. So I've been slowly collecting those. I just like trading cards, even if I know nothing about it. I was like, hey, it's at McDonald's. I'm going to go there and get my dinner anyways. And I know, it's trash food. I already know. I don't want to hear it in the comments. How can you be a conspiracy theorist and eat McDonald's? I don't know. Maybe because I'm running and gunning, dog. Always running and gunning, man. Running errands. You know, I got to stop and eat something. And I don't know. I like a burger and fries. At the end of the day, I'm American. So, I picked up this paper the other day. And there's my boy, RFK. There's the headline. Look, I know there's some stuff I've heard of RFK that I don't like. Like, for one, his whole stance on... There's these things he wanted at one point. Listen to this Mark of the Beast shit. Maybe I'll do like a whole episode on it and cover it in deep detail, which he did. He did say this crazy Mark of the Beast Antichrist shit, but he did backtrack and take it back. But he wanted us all at one point to wear like some form of bracelet that reads our biometrics, counts our steps, keeps track of our breathing, our heart rate, our health. Literally like tracking devices. He wanted like every American citizen to wear them. And I'm like, no. And he got a bunch of pushback and he's like, I didn't think about it. Maybe it is a bad idea. You know. I love RFK to death, but like that shit was retarded. If you guys don't know, I supported RFK during the election. He dropped out. Trump got in. Now we have this shit show. I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that it would have been better with RFK, but I'm not going to sit here and, dwell on it. I'm not going to be sad about it. It is what it is. But I can't help but go, told you so, But I like the way he's handling, for the most part, I like the way he's handling everything as far as being like, what is he, like, Minister of Health, or I can't remember what they call it, but he's in control of, like, health, the health of America, which is the perfect gig for him. But I found this article. Apparently, he's fighting against, basically transitioning children. So let's get into the details of it. A federal judge in Oregon ruled Thursday that Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. overstepped his legal authority when he declared in December that providers of gender transition medical treatments for minors do not meet professional recognized standards. And I agree with that. I personally, look, man, I'm a classic liberal. I'm pretty fucking open-minded. And honestly, I'm cool with people who are trans. Go look at my porn history. I'm sorry, I can't help it. But no, like, if you're an adult and you want to transition, go for it. But I am against, honestly, children transitioning. I'm against puberty blockers. I'm against surgeries. I'm against all that shit. I'm an old school liberal. If you want to stump a new school liberal, a progressive, here's how you stump them. You go, hey, are you cool with children transitioning? And they'll go, yeah, I'm cool with that. And then you go, hey, are you cool with children getting tattoos? Well, no, of course not. They could regret that, And it's like, oh, but you don't think they'll regret transitioning? And their argument is, well, transitioning, you have to transition them when they're children and prepubescent, if not going through puberty. You got to nip it in the butt. Otherwise, the transition doesn't go as well as it should, and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is like, once you start transitioning, you can't stop that transition. And it can, like, permanently damage their growth as far as, like, sexual organs, sex drive, hormones. It can fuck everything up for, like, the rest of their life. It can be almost irreversible just from them doing transitioning drugs for a year or two, Not to mention, like, the chemistry of the brain. The decision, a setback for the Trump administration, gives temporary relief to hospitals, clinics, and health professionals who provide such treatments. In the weeks after Kennedy issued his written declaration, the Department of Health and Human Services indicated that it would investigate institutions that continued to prescribe medication to minors for gender transitions and would potentially bar them from receiving federal Medicare and Medicaid funds, which I agree with that. Pretty sure Medicaid and Medicare is our tax dollars, our tax money. And I don't agree with transitioning children. So why the fuck am I paying for that? I've always said that we should be able to, this is if I was a politician or president or fascist ruler of the world, Adolf Hitler. Adolf Schitler. That would be, there you go. Or is that too similar to Schindler? I don't know. I'll work on it. I'll think about it. Adolf Schitler. And instead of a Hitler mustache, I'll have a reverse Hitler mustache. So a full mustache, but this part's bald. I got a new character. Sorry, a new alter ego. Adolf Schitler. what was I saying though? Oh, I've always said that we should be allowed to, when we do our taxes, get to choose like a bubble of which departments, which areas of tax money we want to put our money into. Like, the roads are really bad around here. The roads suck. Plowing, they don't plow enough roads. They don't salt enough. They just do a horrible job at plowing around here. They don't have enough crew. So when I do my taxes at the end of the year, or at the beginning of the year, whatever, I should be allowed to choose, hey, I want all my tax money to go into the roads, or all my tax money to go into education, all my tax money to go into Medicare, Medicaid. We should be allowed to choose where our tax money goes, instead of into these politicians' pockets, who most of these motherfuckers are most likely satanic PDF files, you know? I'd say about 95%. So, 21 states, all led by Democrats, had filed a lawsuit. Of course, they're all blue states. I can't remember what Kentucky is. I don't know if we're purple, red. If you know in the comments down below, hit me up. 21 states, all led by Democrats. And by the way, I'm not like a whole left-wing, right-wing guy. I think both parties sucks. I think it's two wings of the same bird. Both sides suck. I'm purple. I'm classic liberal, which would today be considered moderate. Almost libertarian, sometimes anarchist. I have a little bit of everything. I'm a mixed breed. Had filed, all the blue states had filed, 21 blue states had filed a lawsuit over Kennedy's issuing of the 12-page declaration, claiming that the statement interfered with the power of the states to regulate the practice of medicine within their borders. So, they say that his declaration that he put out, the 12-page declaration, is impeding on states' rights. Playing devil's advocate, I do believe that the states should have more power within their borders of how they want their state run. I do have to say, I kind of agree with that. That's the beauty about living in states. Like, one thing that sucks around here, we have dry counties. I'm against dry counties. But I can always move my happy ass to a state that is completely, fully wet, you know? But at the end of the day, I respect that enough Christian Bible thumpers in the Bible Belt have voted to have dry counties. That's that county's decision. If not everyone, but if the majority of people in that county want it to be dry, they have the right for that county to be dry. That's what they chose. The declaration states that it supersedes statewide or national standards of care, and that sex-rejecting procedures for children, I like that they phrased it that way, sex-rejecting, because you are rejecting your sex, you know. Procedures for children and adolescents are neither safe nor effective as a treatment modality for gender dysphoria. I like that they're bringing that up. Gender incongruence, which I don't know what it is, or other related disorders in minors. So, I agree with a lot of what it's saying. I mean, it is sex rejecting. You are rejecting your natural sex. Unless, you're one of those rare occasions who are like hermaphrodite, which the rarity of that is so slim, it's literally like finding a unicorn, finding a needle in a haystack. Like, there is such thing as hermaphrodites, but like it's super fucking rare. And even then, usually the parent chooses your gender at birth. Or they raise you as a hermaphrodite and you can kind of choose yourself, you know? There was that whole spiel, what was it? Last year or the year before, there was a whole spiel, and I actually felt bad for the girl. I wanted to make a video on her, but like I was like, no, I'm not gonna touch that fucking, not gonna poke that bear. Because for one, it was non-conspiracy. Two, I didn't want drama. But there was like some woman who was in the Olympics, I think a boxing match or something crazy in the Olympics. I can't remember what sport. I don't care. It's all bread and circus. But she had a vagina and breast. And this wasn't like a tit job. This wasn't like a surgery. She was born with a vagina and breast, but instead of ovaries, she had internal testicles. I mean, to me, that would be like a hermaphrodite. Like, I don't know if they would classify that as something different, but I felt bad for her because everyone was like, she's a dude. She's clearly a dude. You know, and then finally it come out. It's like her medical information. The same people during COVID who were like, you don't need to know if I'm vaccinated or not. They were the same people like making this poor woman feel ashamed of her body that she was born with internal testicles. You know, like that shit fucking sucks. I felt bad for her. I'm like, damn, that fucking blows. Like, I feel bad for this chick because now she's having to share something that's embarrassing to her. And she's technically a woman. She just has, like, internal testicles. Like, she's just a freak of nature, you know? And I don't mean that in a harmful way. She's a fluke, you know? But I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. It's just sad. To me, I just felt sad about the whole ordeal. But gender dysphoria, too, that doesn't get addressed enough. Like, I'm a big fan of Blair White. She's, like, one of my favorite people on the face of the earth. I love listening to her podcast. I love watching her content. She's one of the few people who is trans. Her and Buck Angel. Buck Angel's cool as hell, too. He used to be a female porn star, like, back in the 70s, I think. They're, like, the only two people who actually discuss and bring up the concept of gender dysphoria. Of someone who is, like, genuinely like, hey, I don't feel like I was born in the right body, you know? As a mental illness. And Blair will tell you, like, I have a mental illness. I have gender dysphoria. I'm happy now that I've transitioned, but she's like one of the few trans people who admit, like, I have gender dysphoria. I mean, I've always been open about my mental illness, you know. I've had suicidal tendencies, suicidal thoughts. I've struggled with sexuality in the past. I struggle with anxiety, MDD, you know. I think people should just be more open about their illnesses, mental illnesses and shit, because it's one of those things that never get addressed. Like, everyone feels bad for everyone and about their physical illnesses or mental disabilities, but when it comes to mental illness, we just throw those people in jail, lock them in a mental home. We say, oh, you're sad today? You're calling out from work because mentally you don't feel right. Like, fuck you, man up, you know? And it's like, okay. And then when the same guy comes in with a gun and shoots the place up, what happened? We never saw it coming. You know? Well, you told him to man up when he was trying to get mentally well, you know? It's sad. The states asserted that the federal government had attempted to unilaterally establish a national medical standard, violating the Administrative Procedure Act, which requires federal agencies to act within the bounds of authority delegated to them by Congress. The federal government, which I don't know, Congress is pretty corrupt. I'll keep my mouth shut on that one. I was going to say, well, it should go through like a proper procedure through Congress and Senate and all that, but Congress is so fucked. Like 95% of our politicians are blackmailed, so no. It should stay in like small government. The federal government countered that the states that had failed to show they were harmed by Kennedy's declaration, because no individual providers of gender transition care gender transition care had been barred from receiving Medicare and Medicaid at this point. In court documents, the federal government's lawyers characterized Kennedy's declaration as a non-binding policy position and likened it to an opinion piece in a publication. So they're basically just saying, the lawyers are saying, like, yeah, this is just like, he's doing something that he can't do. Which sucks. Maybe it'll get brought to court because this is recent news. And in my opinion, hopefully Kennedy fucking wins, because I agree with what he's doing. Secretary Kennedy, just like anyone else, is entitled to articulate his opinion on the safety and efficacy of emerging and controversial medical practices, the lawyers wrote. Well, of course he is. It's First Amendment fucking right, dude. That's kind of like saying the obvious. Gender transition treatment had been banned in 27 Republican-led states. Gender transition treatments. Okay. I would say good, but I disagree. I think if you are 18 and up, you should be allowed to transition. 18 and under, I think it should be banned. This is why I've always said I'm not a full-blown libertarian, you know. But they are legal in states bringing the lawsuit, which include Oregon, California, Michigan. I got family in Michigan, Waterville, and Detroit, so that's definitely a blue state, sounds like. Which, going by my cousins, my black cousins, one of them is like in politics, actually. They're super fucking liberal. Like, to the point, they're super triggered all the time, super progressive. Which is funny because, like, the older one, Reva, was, like, obsessed with Adolf Hitler for a while, which was really weird. Like, she would sit there and watch his, like, speeches and go around the house, like, saying, like, Heil Hitler. And it was fucking bizarre. And it's like, dude, you're black. You know, like, he would have thrown you in a furnace, right? He would have, like, hated you. But, I mean, there was black Nazis, but they were, like, you know, like, he would have used you for warfare and shit. But it's just crazy. That's like there's Jewish Nazis, you know, and it breaks people's brains. Like, yeah, there was Jewish Nazis, too. They were just used as cannon fodder. They were used to turn in other Jews and round up other Jews and shit, you know. What was it? George Soros was, when he was a kid, he was like, that was one of my, not that he's a Jew. I don't know if he's a Jew or German, but that was some of my fondest memories, was rounding up the Jews, he said. It's crazy, in an interview. And, like, smiling about it. Pennsylvania, New York doesn't surprise me. California doesn't surprise me. Those are like two Babylons of many that we have here in the United States. In some of those states, healthcare institutions that fail to offer the treatments may run afoul of state anti-discrimination laws. The Trump administration, it's not discrimination. It's just saying, hey, we should stop lopping off little boys' penises, and we should stop, you know, giving them breast, and we should stop lopping off little girls' breast. I don't think that's crazy. I think that's pretty normal. We shouldn't bodily mutilate children. The Trump administration also argued that it has the authority to bar providers of medical care that fail to meet professionally recognized standards from participating in Medicare and Medicaid. That power, the government argued, exists simultaneously with traditional power of states to regulate medicine. Once again, I'm like 50-50 on this one. I do think that Trump should be allowed to block transitioning of children, specifically children. I think adults should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want. But also, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, the states should have more control of what they want within their state. If you don't like your state, move out of your state. or participate in local elections. Ta-da! After a 6-hour hearing in the case in Eugene, Oregon on Thursday, Judge Mustafa Kasubai, I kid you not, of U.S. District Court said that Kennedy had not followed normal procedures before publishing his declaration on the issue. Which, if that's true, that's a failure on Kennedy's part, considering he used to be a fucking lawyer. And he should know better. Unless he's slipping up after that brain worm, which we covered, which is a possibility. That's not me bashing on the guy, but it is true. Go check that episode out. Maybe I'll link it below on Spotify if I can remember to do it, because this will come out tomorrow. Yeah. The judge who was appointed to the bench by former President Joe Biden, of course it's a Biden-elected judge, hence why they're, citing this direction, said that the case spoke to broader tactics that threaten to undermine democracy. The notion that I will go forward and issue a declaration and see if we can get away with it is not a principle of governance that adheres to the overarching commitment to a democratic republic. I do like this, though. They did at least call our government a republic. We are not a democracy. And by the way, we're not a democratic republic either. We're a constitutional republic. So they still kind of fucked it up, but they at least respected the point that we're a republic. But it's a constitutional republic, not a democratic republic, not a democracy. It is a constitutional republic. They hate saying that word. They hate calling it that. This is a threat to our democracy. No, it's not a threat to our democracy. It's not a threat at all. And we're also a constitutional republic, you dumb motherfuckers. Sorry. That requires the rule of law to be regarded and respected and honored as a sacred. I don't know if she actually quoted it like that, but that's kind of not how the English language works. But when your name is Mustafa, what was it? Mustafa Madubavai or something? Maybe English is not their first language. Legal experts said the decision was likely to be appealed. The Department of Health and Human Services did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Gender transition treatments for minors include medications that delay puberty by suppressing the production of estrogen or testosterone, and hormone therapies that can help align an adolescent's appearance, breast development, fat distribution, voice range, facial and body hair with their gender identity. Treatments can also include surgery for breast removal, cutting off basically little girls' tits. It's fucking horrible. Although genital surgery is almost never performed on minors. Thank God, but at the same time, what's the point in having genitals if you can't ever have an orgasm? Which a lot of people, I know it's an uncomfortable conversation, but people don't realize when you transition like this, there's a chance you'll never have a fucking orgasm. That's horrible. For more than a year, the Trump administration has sought to prevent hospitals from helping adolescents transition, asserting that many of the children are impressionable and confused, I agree, and may later regret the medical interventions, I agree. In response, many clinics and hospitals in the United States have scaled back or stopped providing gender-related treatments to minors. Good. The treatments remain a topic of fraught debate among medical authorities. Most major American medical societies endorse providing hormone therapy. That's scary. As effective in treating the distress experienced by some minors whose gender identity diverges from their birth sex. But a 2024 report commissioned by the British government found that the risk and benefits of such therapy have not been studied well enough to make that determination. There you have it. So canaries in a coal mine, guinea pigs, your children are the guinea pigs. So they even admit at the end, like, hey, your children are guinea pigs. We don't know if this is actually, if the benefits outweigh the fucking negatives, you know. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I love y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. I have a Buy Me a Coffee set up in the link below. If you would like to donate to the channel, it helps. I will send you a sticker and a bookmark. Yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.